Hey everyone, want to do a quick intro for this episode with Jazz, which is a great one. Highly recommend checking this out. He goes over his call with Alex Hormozi on his show, got his take on our business model, which is really interesting. He went over Beehive's announcement of all the new tools, some sales ideas, all that kind of stuff. So you got to check this one out. It's great. Number two, wanted to go over the fact that I'm going to be rebranding this show and the associated newsletter. So we're changing the brand from Local Newsletter Insider to Local Media HQ. And so the reason is Local Newsletter Insider has just felt way too constricting lately with how frequently I talk about the fact that we are not just building local newsletters here, we are building local media brands. And so it felt just not great for me to have the name of my brand be something that I constantly tell people isn't enough to succeed. So I'm rebranding everything, Local Media HQ. Content's still going to be the same. We talk about building modern creator-led local media brands. Now we're just going to have a name that goes along with that. Okay, so keep an eye out for this channel to change the name over time. Some of the colors are going to change to more green and red branding. The newsletter will change. So if you're not subscribed to that, by the way, please jump on that. And just keep an eye out for Local Media HQ is all the same stuff we talk about, just with a different name. And along with that, I am announcing that I'm starting a free membership to, which is really, let's be real, I was trying to think of the name. It's basically a Discord where I will be in there sharing my learnings via chat. So coming in, chatting, asking questions. I'm going to be in there. Basically, I just want to help more people and be able to have more conversations. I mean, so many of the people who have been on the show have been people I've randomly met in the newsletter club from Michael Kaufman, which is a great group, which I'll go over the differences here in a second. But I just want to have more people where I can share my ideas with, they can share them with me. I can do, no promises, it's free, but when doing, office hours or doing random calls, I just want to have a easy way to chat with people who watch this show, who read the newsletter, who are just interested in this space. And I want to make it frictionless where you can learn from me and get my take on things because I like helping people. Sometimes people email me. I like to give them answers, DM me on Twitter, etc. So feel free to jump into that once I have everything ready for that. I'm not sure if I will by the time this is up, but we'll be having a free Local Media HQ, membership, a Discord where I can help you, essentially is what it is. And to be clear, the difference between what I'm kind of putting together and what Michael Kaufman's doing at the Newsletter Club, in this, it's less going to be about learning from other people. It's really just going to be me sharing my ideas, insights, answering your questions, where the Newsletter Club is, I think that he said they have 180 operators in there constantly sharing with each other, getting ideas and advice and suggestions from others. So if you want to be connecting with other people constantly, what they're doing, the Newsletter Club is a great place for that. If you just want a way to get me to, give you my insights to your issues or jump on, an office hours call every once in a while, jump in my group. Reality, you should probably be in both. But that's what that is. And then finally, my software that I'm building, that I've been building for about 6 months to make it easier to create local newsletters is just about ready. We're just putting the final touches on it. I'm about to have some people start testing it. I want to make sure it is a great product that people should pay for before I release it. Because again, this was built to be internal for me and running my newsletters, but I've showed it to some people who really want access to it. And I think it does make sense to help people creating these to simplify the process. So that should be coming relatively soon. Again, it's called Local Newsletter OS. That will stay the same. I'm going to keep that name for now because, again, it is a newsletter-specific creation tool. So I'll keep that one, calling it Local Newsletter OS. Everything else will be branded to Local Media HQ. So if you want to join the community, just go to localmediahq.com. I'm not sure if we have the link up there yet for the Discord. We're still working on it, but it'll be there soon. Check it out. localnewsletteros.com. Join the waitlist if you're interested in getting the software that should make your creation of your newsletters much, much easier. Join the Newsletter Club if you're all in on this. Essentially, you should join the Newsletter Club. I think he charges $500 a year, so you want to join that. And yeah, that's it. Please enjoy this episode with Jazz. It was a really good one. I learned a lot and took a bunch of notes, so hopefully you will too. All right, thanks. Hey everyone, here again today with Jazz from Winnipeg. Stoked to have him. As usual, he has tons of great insights. So thanks for coming on again, Jazz. Appreciate it.
No, of course. Trying to be a regular guest, though.
I love it. I love it. You're doing so many interesting things in this space, and people like you really on top of it. There's always new stuff coming up, new ideas, and I think people really want to hear it. So yeah, so that's good stuff. So let's dig into something that happened with you. I think it's probably been a month, but I hope it was pretty cool that you were on. I don't know what is his show, Alex Hormozi's show, or something on his YouTube channel, and you dug in about basically our model and different ways to monetize, and he gave you some really interesting thoughts and insights. So, hoping we could chat about that. Tell me about that.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, just I had bought his the $6,000 offer, and it wasn't a part of the offer, but I guess like a perk of the offer is like you had a chance to basically get on the show. But had a chance to get on the show, talk a little bit more about newsletters and how we can capitalize on that. My thinking before going into the call, I think kind of mentioned in our call 2 months ago or so, was I was trying to get that Christmas lights business going and things of that nature. So a lot of those things, I mean, it's tough to swallow those losses sometimes, but I mean, you live and learn, right? So, um, but yeah, I mean, we basically had a chance to go on Hermosi's hotline, and he was like, "Hey, I don't know why you're gonna do this thing." Like I briefly mentioned it at the end, and he's like, "You shouldn't even be doing that at all." Asked if I should expand cities or niche down, and he's like, "No, dude, like Winnipeg." So that's the newsletter where I currently run. And he's like, dude, Winnipeg has 1 million people. You can get to 250,000 people. Why are you trying to, be happy about 40,000, basically? So that was the big takeaway for me is I think I personally thought my market was way smaller than it actually was. And his argument back was you can definitely build a seven-figure business, maybe $1 million revenue business a year just by selling gas in Winnipeg, and not doing anything else. So, and then he also said like doing the whole Christmas lights thing and all that isn't really important.
Yeah, no, that is super interesting because yes, we've talked about that multiple times, and a lot of people doing what we're doing are thinking about this from the angle of what other local business can I start or be a part of. And I think the Christmas lights is generally a good one, but he kind of said not to do that to distract yourself, which again, I mean, I told you not to do it because I didn't like the idea of you climbing roofs in freezing weather. That sounds just for the danger reason. But yeah, but it's still clearly a good idea, and you proved it. Like I tell people all the time, because you had 300 people or something fill out the form that they were interested.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are you thinking about that? Because like, of course, the other angle is just sell those leads or partner with somebody or take a cut or something.
No, 100%. And I mean, like, it's not that the business model is broken, right? It's not that, okay, if I enjoy doing that, there's no, it's not that you can't do that off a local newsletter. But if your sole goal is to make money and to monetize the newsletter, then the argument that he was making is there's much better ways to make money than doing a Christmas lights
Yeah.
business, right? His argument essentially was, and I mean, you've heard this before, is it's much easier to take a business. So currently, let's say if we're doing 100 and if you heard the Hormozi call, I mean, you know what we're doing. So we're doing currently about 12-ish thousand a month. So, his argument is that it's much easier to take $140,000 a year business to 250K than try and start a business from 0 to 100K, right? Um, and it kind of goes back to the same thing, right? As an entrepreneur, even in the Christmas lights business, I would probably cap out at probably a similar range because I only have skill sets worth $140,000 at this point. And until I unlock more skill sets that will let me get to 250,000 or 500,000, I will not get to that point in no other business either. So, I guess that's kind of what his point was, and I do agree with that, um, and I had paid a lot of money for it. So the following day, I basically went and shut down the Christmas lights business, took a $6,000 loss on it because I was like, it's not worth the time and effort that I would be putting in to try and go break even when I can just focus that time for the holidays on Winnipeg Digest, which we can talk more about as well.
Yeah. I think this is especially true for you for a bunch of reasons, but one of them is, let's be clear, your market is relatively large. A lot of us doing this right now are in kind of smaller markets of, say, 100, maybe 200,000 people. And again, you can still grow a decent revenue with that, but probably not $1 million. I would say most likely. Where you're in a place of over 1 million people, I think that is much more viable for you. So I think that makes a ton of sense. So what other advice did he give you, or kind of ideas? Maybe, okay, yeah, you can get to $1 million a year. Great. Well, I think he gave you a couple different ideas. So what kinds of things is he suggesting?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm assuming like most, at least, I would say most people starting businesses in today's day and age have heard Hormozi at some point or another. And his kind of, mantra stays the same of like do more, right? And that you're just not doing enough. And honestly speaking, when I thought that, I was like, no, dude, I'm definitely doing enough. If he's definitely talking about other people, it can't be me, you know? Because, you always think that you're doing a lot. But the crazy thing is, like, I hopped on the call and his thing to me was the exact same. He's like, no, you just have to do more. He's like, you're just not doing enough. You just have to do more. And he did say, him and Layla, like, did say, hey, that's great growth that we're at about 120,000 people audience at this point, 41,000 email subscribers, right? In about 18 months. But at the end of the day, like, there's other mechanisms and probably better entrepreneurs than myself who probably would have been at a bigger number at this point, right? Um, so his other tips and tricks that that I had a chance to ask him was regarding the cost for acquiring subscribers, and I was like, hey, how do I break even on that much faster? Because if, let's say, I mean, just at high level numbers, if you're getting 3,000 new subscribers per month, you're gonna make about 30 to 40 cents per subscriber per month. You're usually gonna acquire subscribers for around $1 or so. It's gonna take you about 3 months to break even on that subscriber, right? So the question then ends up being, is you're fronting capital to then fund Facebook ads and then expecting a payoff on the back end, right? What you want essentially is something that can break even in 30 days. So somehow, some way that you can break even on a subscriber in 30 days. And his thing to me was, hey, you need a SLO, which is a self-liquidating offer, right? So you basically go and you put together some sort of offer, a sequence of offers, upsells and downsells, which you can give to your audience and try and make that dollar back in the first 30 days. So then you can keep pushing that dollar back into Facebook ads, right? And as long as your cost for acquiring a subscriber is under $1, you can basically feed Facebook ads as much money as you want, maybe even $10,000 and grow by 10,000 subscribers, right? So that's another kind of piece of nugget and a golden nugget that he had given to me over the call as well.
Yeah, this is something I've been racking my brain about for at least 6 months, I think, since I first heard it, and really kind of grasped it. I, you know, I think I've talked about the Assist here before, who did a presentation at the last newsletter conference, where they're like positive per subscriber within 7 days, I think it is. Right now, again, it's a B2B audience; it's totally different than ours, but clearly it's possible. You said within 30 days would obviously be awesome. They're doing it within 7, right? And they're making
Yeah.
money. Um, so it's possible. The question is, with the B2B audience, it's much easier. Easy is not the right word, but there are things that apply to them, and their audience is more susceptible to buy, software, let's say, is the obvious one, right? Where our audience generally is not going to be buying software. So while it makes sense, it's obviously a much harder offer. Is there anything that you're thinking about of things that you could offer an audience in the welcome sequence, welcome email, where you think you'd get enough uptake where maybe you don't even have to break even? What if you just cut it in half, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that'd still be super valuable.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, for like, I'm trying to execute as much as possible at this point, especially after that call, and not doing any other business. So for me, like, we have now built out, I think, 5 restaurant guides. So it's like the best bakeries in Winnipeg, best cafes in Winnipeg, the best Asian Eats Trail, which is like all Japanese food, Indian food, Korean food, Vietnamese food, the best European restaurants, which is like Italian, Greek, French, and then the best North American dining cuisines, right? So we built out those 5 guides, and plus we have 2 additional bonuses that we give for free with that package. We have just launched it like a week or so ago. We haven't even really launched it to our main audience yet because I'm just testing out the offer and the funnel just through our welcome sequence right now. So now I used to have a survey, I've gotten rid of the survey. Now we're testing out a bunch of things with like putting it on the thank you page, having it in the welcome sequence. We just made our first sale like 2 days ago or something like that. So
Okay.
at like about $24-ish, which is not bad. Um, Now we're just testing out, hey, what are other things that I can either add to it? Can I have a better landing page that converts better? Can I put it for $9 instead of 23? And then maybe I think I was doing the math at $9, I need a 14% conversion or something through the cycle to then break even. Um, so it's like I'm trying a bunch of things
Just
out,
testing.
and let's see what sticks and what doesn't. And we're going to be trying out multiple different offers, especially with the holidays coming up. And so that should be exciting. So yeah, we're definitely trying it out, seeing what works, what doesn't.
Nice. Okay. So it's basically it's restaurant guides. What are you using? Like what if somebody bought it, what are they getting? Is it like a Notion thing? Is it PDF?
There, yeah, so we're using Shopify for delivery right now, and
Yeah.
so they just get an email with 7 different PDFs
Yeah, yeah.
basically,
Okay.
where yeah, they just get downloadable versions. So that's currently what we're doing. I had a friend of mine recommend that, hey, he's like, if you really want to make this into an irresistible offer, I would go the route of, hey, yes, you get these 200 restaurants to pick from that are split by cuisine and neighborhoods and stuff. But then you also get 20 restaurants where you can get $10 off at each. And now it's a combination of the gift card play plus the guides for 23.99, and now you're getting 200 restaurants plus $200 worth of value for $23, right?
This yes, 100%. I've been thinking so much about this. I think he's spot on that because what you're saying is it becomes a no-brainer offer,
Yeah.
right? The
So right
problem
now, sell it, right? Like we can still sell the guides
Yeah, yeah.
100%, but it's not a no-brainer offer by any
Yeah,
means.
yeah. The guide is not a no-brainer offer, but when you're giving
Yeah.
more, significantly more than what you're charging somebody, again, say you're giving them the equivalent of $100 in gift cards and you're charging 25, it becomes much more of an irresistible offer.
Yeah, and my like my shift in my mindset has been usually like I would just stop at this funnel and be like, okay, whatever converts, converts, whatever doesn't, doesn't, right? But now I have actually switched my like I guess mindset to this problem alone, if you really think about it, this problem alone is worth I spend $36,000 a year on just Facebook ads, right? Plus, if I were to ever expand to other markets. And so this problem alone is worth $36,000 per year to me, right? So I'm not even trying to focus on anything else until I can solve this problem for me. Because the second I can solve this problem, I can scale to other cities without thinking twice about it. I can put as much money as I want into Facebook ads and break even. My only then bottleneck is how many ads can I create, and can I keep my cost for acquiring a subscriber underneath the amount that I have to break even on, right? So that's kind of the way that I'm attacking this now is I'm not doing anything until I can figure out this funnel to a point that, hey, it's breaking even or at least significantly reducing my CAC.
Yeah. No, I think you're thinking correctly there that it's such a game changer
Yeah,
problem that if you can solve it, it solves so many other problems and it gives you so much more optionality to do other things. And yeah, no, I think that I would love for you to solve it because it would help a lot of us if some you or anybody can solve this problem because more than likely it would work everywhere. I mean, obviously there can be, maybe Michael Kaufman can do some unique things there that, wouldn't work for us, or maybe West Palm Beach could have some offer that wouldn't work for us. But like in general, so much of what works for some of us works for all of us, and that would be killer.
100%. But I mean, I also believe like, what is that worth, right? Like if you think about it, TJ, right? Um, it's like if that's something that allows you to basically scale to the moon without ever thinking about cash flow or money again, right? So it's like, what is just that one problem, like that one problem being solved, what is that worth, right? And then the question becomes like, if that's your moat, then do you want to give that moat, right? So a lot of the times, like a lot of these things, like unlike let's say Facebook ads library or something, like a lot of the things, yes, you like for example, Justin Welsh. I went through his funnel yesterday, all of it, and had to go break it down and trying to figure out, hey, how does this guy sell the creator MBA or whatever that he sells, and what is his funnel, right? But then, like, that's the question. Like, think about how much time it probably took him to trying to solve that one problem, right?
I bet you a lot. Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
time and effort. Exactly. Well, to your point though, I mean, I have 15, newsletters now. Hopefully I'll have about 30 in the next, 2 months or so. If I could solve this problem, it would benefit me 30 times
yeah,
do it, to the scale of what you said. I mean, it's incredible value, and I probably should put more time into it than I have. And actually, I'm going to make a note to talk to one of my partners that we should actually start working on this a little bit harder rather than just casually chatting about it once a month. Um,
yeah. I mean,
but
I think the question ends up becoming, and the more and more, like, I might just sound like I'm repeating Hormozi's words here, but it's like, what is the bottleneck of the business? It's like where, and for me, the bottleneck of the business is the fact that I'm fronting capital right now. Because the more capital I have to front, the more nervous I guess I am about the
yeah,
fact that, hey, will I make back this money in 3 months?
of course.
Right? So if I need to figure out some sort of a funnel where I can reduce that cost for acquiring a subscriber much, much more. So then that's not the bottleneck of the business anymore, right? And for me to like charge more, and let's say if my next year's goal is 300 or $400,000, then for me to charge that amount of money, I need to then get to a point where my audience is that much bigger for me to be able to charge that.
Yeah, 100%. Well, obviously, we're going to have you on at some point in the next month or two and see how far along you've come with this because I'm super excited to hear about it. And I am going to start working on this harder myself because I'm starting to realize like why am I not doing this with how much value I would get out of solving it. Um,
Yeah.
cool. All right. Well, tell me what else is new since we've last talked in terms of anything new on your end that you've been doing, you've seen, whether it's social media, whether it's sales, changed any content, has anything changed for you recently that's worth kind of chatting about?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's more like, okay, from a sales mindset, I've stopped doing outreach altogether.
Okay.
Now, all my stuff that comes in is inbound. I don't care about outbound right now, at least because
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, whatever money I'm making, it's fine. We're delivering good results for our clients. So I think they'll stay for a much longer period of time with us. Um, so my thing is, okay, then I don't need to focus on making more money at this point because I'll focus on making money, like that's for sure, but I'll focus on that after I've gotten the other bottlenecks out of the way. Because right now, I feel like the bottleneck that's stopping me from making more money or charging more is my audience. So I'm just trying to figure out ways that I can grow my audience at a significant, like, m- faster level, right? And what that basically means currently for me is from a social standpoint, we're at about 67,000 followers now. What we're now doing actually, and our goal by end of this year is to hit 80 maybe. Hopefully we do that. But and the way we're planning on doing that is we're doing this thing called 25 days of giveaways. So
Okay. That
from
was that from Hormozi said that, right? I remember when he said that. I was yeah, he
um
did say it.
I don't
Uh,
think so. I
you
don't
know,
I don't think he mentioned that to me over the call. No, he mainly just mentioned the self-liquidating offer was his main thing that he mentioned.
okay.
And yeah, his second thing that he mentioned was like just focus like locally, but what we're doing right now is like I don't think it's ever been done before. At least I don't know anyone that's done this. Um and this idea kind of comes from like as I grew up from watching a bunch of YouTubers and stuff, they used to do like these vlogmas things where it was like, oh, 25 days of daily vlogs or something like that. And me as a kid, I used to watch those. And for them, obviously, it was an excuse to basically post more. right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if they post that much on a regular time frame throughout the year, first they would burn out. Second is the audience would just be like, man, this guy just posts every single day, you know? With Vlogmas, it gave them an excuse to now post every single day. For content right now, we actually only post once a day right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
This almost gives us an excuse to now post twice a day,
Yep.
right? And do a giveaway every single day for 25 days.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of goes back to where like people often say e-commerce brands and any brands, Christmas is the only time they can get away with sending 4 to 5 emails a day,
Yeah.
you know? And they don't ruin their brand, nothing happens to them simply because it's when everyone is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're planning on doing for this is we're giving away about $18,000 in 25 days.
Wow.
Um, where we're doing one giveaway every single day with a local brand, and I think total value is like, yeah, 15 to $18,000, where it includes spa gift cards, restaurant gift cards, cafe gift cards, um, the Jets ticket, so that's like the local hockey team here, a $3,000 diamond ring from a local jeweler, like basically a bunch of stuff that we're gonna be giving away from December 1st to 25th. Um, and then on the back end, we have a many chat automation with that whenever someone new follows, they get the new
Mm-hmm.
DM saying, hey, be sure to subscribe to our email. So, we're getting about a 10% conversion there. So it should be interesting to see how it kind of
Mm-hmm.
pans out. Like if we add 10 or 15,000 followers, which hopefully we do, we might just add three, I don't know. Um, but if we add, let's say 10,000 followers, that's an additional 1,000 email subscribers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to see what we can do, and it's kind of a first time that someone's ever done it, so it should be interesting to see.
Yeah, I love this. So I am working on this myself. We kind of talked about it. We probably won't do 25. We're now thinking 12 just to make it easier because I want to dig into how you're getting these because that is kind of one of the harder parts of this. But I do think this is a killer idea. Using the holidays is kind of, to your point, the obvious time to do it. So yeah, I think this is killer. I'm excited to see how it goes for you. My person, she's said she's already gotten a few. I need to follow up with her on what else, what other things she's gotten from some of these people. And ours will not be nearly as valuable as yours. So that's cool that the higher the value, the more people will be interested in subscribing, right? So first question is, yeah. So it sounds like you got 25 different local businesses
Yeah.
to give you things. Are these current advertisers? Are they? How did you get in front of them? How did you actually get all this stuff to give away?
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of people who have wanted to advertise with us that just can't
Not
afford to.
ideal. Yeah.
Um, First is that. Second is we first reached out to our current advertisers, which we I think have 3 or 4 of out of the 25.
Okay.
Actually, and then we use the giveaway to actually sell annual advertisers as well. So I was just like, hey, let's say an Instagram slot for us is worth $2,500 currently. So we would just go to these advertisers and pitch them, let's say, the annual partnership for
Mm,
$15,000. And then I would be like, hey, if you sign up before end of November, you also get to be a part of this giveaway,
mm,
right? So you basically get an additional $3,000 worth of value for
yeah.
free, and this doesn't even include what's already included in your
Hmm.
package, right? So it was a great way to get new advertisers for the new year, get them in the giveaway. Um, and then how we filled the rest of the spots was like pretty simple. Like we just say, hey, we're doing this giveaway. It's worth $3,000. We're giving it away for free. This slot just in the spirit of holidays to help grow local business audiences. And we made it a rule that we only reached out to folks that had over 10,000 followers because we wanted to grow our followers as well. So
Mm.
because there'll be a collab post between the two, so it was a
Okay.
win-win
That's
situation,
interesting angle. I had not thought about that. That's cool.
right? So we did all those things, and then we got 25 businesses. We got 2 additional annual advertisers to sign up in that period as well, and use the giveaways as kind of a lever to get them to sign up before end of November.
Wow, this is
Yeah.
awesome. Okay. Yeah, I love this so far. Jazz. Yeah, I'm super curious. You're doing all this crazy interesting stuff. It sounds like a lot going on, lots of follow-ups, lots of just a lot of work. How are you is this do you have help? If so, who's helping you or like how much are they helping you? How much of this is more than a one man show? Because it feels like a 5 man show.
No,
So.
I mean, we used to have like a bunch of part-time VAs and stuff, and I just noticed they were not doing really much, and I was just like having them on payroll for kind of not really any reason. So I went and now our team is down to just me and one other VA. She's full-time.
Okay.
She does the writing basically for the newsletter and helps create the carousels for the guides. She was a big help as well. So a lot of the times, like what I'm doing is, let's say I will give her for the guides, I went and created a design. She then went and took that design and created the full guide. And then
Mm,
that's draft one. I went in, made changes, made comments. She did draft two. So it's kind of like it's just a two-man show at this point.
mhm,
It used to be four people, and then um after Christmas lights was over, like I have a lot more time now.
mhm, mhm,
Plus, I don't focus on sales as much anymore. Like before, I was like constantly on sales calls and things of that nature. Now, the only goal is to grow the audience right now. And then sales is like a byproduct of that right now because the bigger our audience grows, the more inbound we get. And so the easier and easier it keeps getting. So,
mhm. Okay. No, that's impressive. So, like in terms of outreach and like for the giveaway stuff, are you kind of managing most of that?
I had basically, I did do that
Mm-hmm.
part because, I had a select group of brands and businesses I wanted to work with locally that I knew had large followings and were cool brands in the city. And I was like, you know what? It's going to make a lot of sense. And I had already had some sort of conversation with them previous. So it was like, okay, I don't need to rely on my VA for that. She usually just handled like majority of the times before when I just started, a lot of my time got taken up by the newsletter writing and compiling events and things of that nature, which now she has taken over, right? So my time in that has gone from, let's say we send out a newsletter 3 times a week. It would take me 4 hours per edition. That was 12 hours. Now it takes me like an hour per edition, give or take an hour and a half. So that time is basically like been reduced to like 33% of it, right? So it
Yeah.
only takes me 4-ish hours at this point.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. No, it's super impressive what the operation you've got, and having one person to do all of this with you is pretty killer. So love to see it. All right, let's chat about Beehive. So Beehive, so had their huge announcement about all these additional things they're doing. They're trying to expand beyond newsletters. Let me say
Right.
up front, I have not had a chance to watch the video yet because I was at Disney with my son. So I will hopefully watch it this week. But I read a little bit about some of what they're doing. So I guess any high level thoughts on what they're doing, and then maybe specifically any of the things they've released that you think would be really advantageous for us in the local space.
I think for people that are, I think from an affiliates perspective, and I think they're getting to a point where it'll be more and more useful. Would I say today, at this day and age, it's something that I can use? Probably not. I thought it would be with the whole products thing and being able to sell products in your landing page and integrate them into your Beehive landing pages and your email sequences. But I just tried to put together a product this morning actually, and um downside of that was like I couldn't add multiple images to the product. I couldn't have multiple PDFs that I could have. I couldn't upload a
Mm,
folder that someone can download once they buy. So right now it just seems like it's a one product thing where it's like you have one image, one PDF or something that you attach to it, and you basically download that. Um, so currently, it's not of use to me because with the restaurant guides, I need to have 7 PDFs that someone can download after they've bought the thing from me. Plus, I need multiple images basically to then explain what that thing is, right? So, there's just quite a few things where I feel like their thing is lacking a little bit for now, but it's a great start. I think
mhm.
if they can do that, where we can integrate a lot of products and things of that nature into our emails, and it's still on brand, I think it'll be a great start.
Yeah, I think that for that specifically, and for probably a lot of this stuff, it is probably very, V1. I know, like with the
Yeah.
website builder, it was like pretty limited. It's getting better and better. So, Yeah, that sounds like the kind of thing I suspect they will make better, over the next couple months. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think for some of the other things, like I mean, I haven't gone down the podcast route, but maybe like if I
Hmm.
ever do, I think the podcast integration is cool. I think it's interesting. Link in bio, not really a big fan of. I mean, like it's like any other thing, like Linktree and things of that nature. Um, Plus, like if you run a local newsletter, I don't think you should have a link in
Yeah,
bio. I mean,
exactly.
I think
Yeah.
you should have a sorry, I think you should have a link in bio. It just shouldn't be a link tree where someone can have multiple choices to click on links. I think you should control that experience as much as you can, which for me at least is trying to get more subscribers, right? So
Mm. Yeah. I'm wondering if there's a play on the link in bio less for trying to get subscribers, for non-subscribers. What about for people who already subscribed? Like, in the newsletter, you could have a link that links out to other things. I mean, just trying to think through ways that could be valuable. But I see your point. I think the link in bio thing for anyone who has a newsletter is really kind of a mistake, right? And I
yeah,
see this all the time, dude. I've been looking at some, really big media players, um, and with millions and millions of followers, and you look at what they push people to, and they push them to these complicated link trees, and it's like, man, what are you guys doing? um, so but also their newsletters are garbage as well, so like why bother push people to your garbage newsletter? I'm like, you only have 4 million followers, maybe you should put some effort there, but they just don't know, right? I think that's kind of the point. This newsletter thing, to people like us, it's been around for years and years. We all know about the hustle and morning brew. Oh, this has been 8 years ago. Most of these media players are more than 8 years behind. Like, it's
yeah.
crazy, but it's true.
No, for
So
sure.
yeah.
I think very easy, and I think and that's kind of what our moat is it's very easy to, win against these players, and I see that locally all the time. There's multiple local publications,
Yeah.
and there's like our local tourism board, I think last year or something around this time decided to reject working with us. And from that day, I have a pretty petty personality, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna be bigger than you guys. And they have about 80,000 followers, and last year they had about 75. So they've grown about 5,000 in a year, and we're at 67. So I'm like, you best believe by end of this year I might cross you guys.
Certain that I'm surprised you're not already, right? And I'm sure they have 2,200 email subscribers or some,
Yeah,
nonsense like that. So yeah,
yeah,
but that is a lot of the mindset of again, legacy, current local media brands, or that's not really a local media brand, more just, just a legacy player that's somewhat relevant to our space. So this is why print is still so big to many of them, because they don't want to let it go, right? Even though we know in general it has its place, but for advertisers at least it's not as valuable. Um, okay, so the other thing I want to throw out there though, because this one I've been racking my brain on the value of this. I heard about this concept a few months ago, and it looks like they've made it official. So is the dynamic content. So to
mm,
be clear, what I think this is it's the concept of, think about it as, or you tell me where I'm wrong here. I'm just trying to give anybody listening. Here's what I think it is you can have multiple sections in your newsletter that you can hide essentially from certain people based on, I assume, like their tags, how they got tagged.
yeah.
So let me throw out an example. Or actually, let's just say, am I right about this in general? You can have sections that only certain people see in the same newsletter.
Yeah, basically,
Yeah.
or you can swap out sections, right? So I can say, for example, people living in South Winnipeg are gonna, or South, let's say any city, are gonna receive this sections. People living in north of this city are gonna receive section B, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
it can still be, let's say, the restaurant of the week. Maybe the restaurant changes according to where the person is living. Um,
Yeah. That's
I think
interesting.
I forgot to mention that, but I think that is like a significant value add.
Yeah.
Like I think that's actually the best thing they've released in the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I haven't had a chance to test this out yet, but because I'm not big enough yet. But that's another thing that Alex had actually mentioned in my call, where he said he's like, if you're so worried, because I brought it up the point to him, I'm like, okay, let's say I get this thing to 100,000 email subscribers, or actually, let's say 2,500, 250,000 email subscribers, right? So that's 25% of this city. And I want to charge let's say $100 CPM, which at that point I won't be able to, but let's just say for easy math, I want to do that. So I have a
Hmm.
50% open rate. So I have about 125,000 people opening up the email, right? So I'm charging, give or take, I think that's $12,500 per ad, right? Per ad in one edition. And there's not that many local players that can pay $12,000 or $12,500 per edition. So Alex's thing was he's like, let's say if you have 100,000 people opening your stuff and you charge 10 grand per ad, rather than charging 10 grand per ad to one advertiser, what you're going to be better off doing is just say to the advertisers, hey, you're going to be seen by 50,000 people. You're going to be seen by 50,000 people. Split randomly. Your ad is going to go out to one group. Your ad is going to go out to the second group. And this way you can monetize the same edition twice. Um, but just because they might not be able to otherwise pay for it, so that way, rather than someone you just have to minimum spend 10 grand to be in your newsletter, they can spend five
Yeah.
per month to still be a part of your newsletter.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. The obvious angle that I was thinking of, but that one's a good one too, of just like random, like who cares who
Yeah,
it is. But there's also the angle of like, okay, if your survey, well, I guess because we don't get everybody to fill out a survey, so maybe this
yeah,
angle wouldn't work perfectly. But just a thought experiment of, okay, if half of your audience are homeowners and half are renters, you could have the ad for renters is like an apartment complex thing, and then the
yeah,
ad for the homeowner is a roofer or a pool cleaner or a house cleaner. You know,
yeah,
there's probably that's just one example. There's probably a ton of other ways you
yeah.
could do this, but I don't know. Yeah, I could just get excited by the optionality there
I
of
think it's tough
things you
though.
can
I
do.
think I think it's tough because um like you can't tag every single subscriber. Plus, like when we started these newsletters, or me at least, I only started running surveys at like 30,000
Yeah,
email
yeah,
subscribers. So it's like it's
yeah,
really hard to be able to tag everybody and
yeah.
know
True.
who's interested in what or what area they live in and so on and so forth. So
Hmm.
I think it's much easier to just keep running the newsletter and just be like when you're at such a large, let's say, number of email subscribers where you can't charge the number you want to, you just start telling people, hey, actually, okay, then you're just gonna get access to 50% of our audience for this edition, and the other person's gonna get 50% audience,
Hmm.
right? So I think that's kind of the route that you should take if your goal is to get to like a really large number of email subscribers at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting. Yeah.
I
I think
also
yeah, go ahead.
I was just saying, I was like, I also don't think anyone has created a grand slam offer for advertisers yet, which like is not a bottleneck for me right now. But after I figure out this whole self-liquidating offer and all this stuff, like I think that's the next piece to figure out when I start monetizing is what is that grand slam offer? Can you give free guides to these local owners, or can you provide a free community maybe for all of your past advertisers and current advertisers, or something like that? Can you give a B2B newsletter, something along those lines? Can they get access to something
Yep.
or a set of things just by advertising with you? And how do you make it a grand slam offer? Because right now everyone is just offering on CPM basis, which is okay, decent, but how do you make this like thing a no-brainer for local business owners?
Man, that's another, you got my brain going there too. I like that. I had not thought of thinking of that angle of providing extra value to advertisers that's not solely just an ad. I had not thought about that. That is really interesting.
Yeah,
I
and I
have
mean,
thought a lot about the local business group,
yeah,
a ton. I'm obsessed with this idea, but I hadn't thought about it as like something of value, like essentially it would be paid generally, but you don't have to pay if you're an advertiser. That's something I'm gonna have to
yeah.
ponder.
Or like it's that's just like one thing, right? It can be
Hmm.
multiple things. It can be, hey, you can only be a part of our 12 days of Christmas giveaways if you have been a past advertiser. There's no other way to be a part. Maybe that's one angle. So that's
That's a
why we're testing
yeah.
this. That's why we're testing this out this first year, because we want to create so much demand when it comes to the second year that it's a no-brainer
Yep.
for people to either advertise with us or something along those lines, right? And realistically, like if you're a local business owner and you're gonna, let's say, do advertising with us anyways, or you're thinking about it, you're on the edge, and we come to you and we have 100,000 followers now, and we're like, hey, by the way, we're doing this giveaway. The only way to be a part of this giveaway is if you're an annual advertiser with us. It's a no-brainer deal for them because now
Hmm.
they get to be a chance of first an exclusive giveaway happening in the city, something that's never happened before. Um, and third is they get to be in front of 100,000 people for they get that value for free just for advertising they were already planning to do,
Hmm.
right?
Yes.
So I'm trying to do more and more of those things. It's like, okay, what are some other things that I can just make a win-win situation, and it becomes a no-brainer deal for that person that's looking to advertise.
I think you're spot on. Just coming at this from a different angle, I think about this a lot, kind of like what we talked about before of how do you make it a no-brainer for the reader to want to give you, $25, right?
Yeah,
It's like the same thing. How do you make it a no-brainer for them to want to give you 10,000, right?
yeah,
And it's a good way to just brainstorm having that as your frame and then just think of what you can come up with. And of course, now that I think about it, the answer is jump on with ChatGPT and give it this problem and say,
yeah,
brainstorm this with me, right? Because sometimes, man, it can come up with some killer ideas that you wouldn't have thought of. A lot of times they're garbage. So that's why sometimes you want to tell it, hey, give me non-obvious ones, right? So it just doesn't give you
yeah.
the most obvious crap. Um, cool. Well, hey, what else? Anything else you want to leave everybody with, or anything I didn't ask you that you think would be good for people to hear?
Um, I think there's a lot of people that are struggling to monetize local newsletters.
Correct.
Um, and I'm not sure why. Honestly speaking, like I'm not sure. And maybe you can be the other side of this if you are
Yeah.
struggling to monetize. It's like
Yeah.
I don't understand because I have never had that problem, right?
Hmm.
Maybe in the beginning,
Yeah.
maybe yes, a little bit, but after like the threshold of 10,000 subscribers, I don't think you should be having that problem. And even if you do, I think you can just like make it so dirt cheap to the point where you can at least just finance your acquisition of subscribers so you don't have money going out of your pocket.
Yeah, I would say. Well, again, I'm kind of in probably a different boat than most people, though maybe not, because maybe you could say my whole thing where I'm not focused as much on, let's say, Leander and Round Rock. Those are the two that are like mine only that I focus on. My wife focuses on the most. Um, I don't focus on those that much really at all because I'm trying to build this much bigger umbrella. We're doing it for other people. We're about to start doing it for a lot of real estate people, etc. So my focus is there. And I guess my corollary to that is most of the people who are probably watching this, a lot of them are, entrepreneurs with full-time jobs, right? I would guess, or they're busy, they got something. This isn't the only thing they're doing, right? So I would say it's difficult to play the kind of almost phone tag game. I mean, today I'm just emailing a bunch of these potential advertisers. Oh, can you meet this time? Oh, they missed the last one. They got busy. You're just playing a lot of phone tag. And also, I would say, at least for me, the honest truth is I have not gotten very much inbound. Probably gotten a little bit, but not very much. And so I think that's probably where a lot of people are struggling with is how to do the outbound. And because there's so many ways to do it. What's the best way? Oh, you try cold email, that doesn't work. Tried some DMs, you get a few here and there, but they're not usually great. What is I think most people probably struggle with just getting a person with the money on a call. I bet you is where most people struggle. So how would you answer that? How would you help people solve that?
Okay, so I think it's probably different for what I did in the beginning versus what I do now.
Yeah.
What I did in the beginning was, hey, I went full time into this like 6 months after doing this because I was like, okay, I can see that I can make a living off of this.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, there's something there. Okay, so um, my thing is I spent $20,000 before I made the first $1,000. Okay, but that was with the expectation that hey, if I can close one annual partner or advertiser at 20 grand, I break even. And that's exactly what happened. So my kind of thesis played out where, hey, I grew this thing to 15, 16,000 subscribers, plus an additional 30,000 followers on Instagram in like 6, 7 months. And then when I went to the advertiser, my thing was, and this is the same thing today is, hey, do you want to be part of the like fastest growing media brand locally? Yes. Great. Then here's my cost. And by the way, this cost does not include all the growth we're going to have from today till a year from now until your price is locked in for it. Okay. So basically, all the impressions you're going to get from today till a year from now that is our growth is going to be free of cost to you. First thing first. Second is my argument to you is, hey, what is it worth if not only you're getting to advertise to 120,000 Winnipeggers, right? But on the flip side, your competitors can't, right? So you're almost winning twice, right? So that's my argument when I'm talking to any person is that's two things. Third, though, if you're starting out, I don't even think your goal should be to. I think if anyone's starting out, you should have a budget of $20,000 to grow this thing. If
Yes.
you don't have $20,000, it is really hard to get advertisers in the beginning and things of that nature to then get it to a point where it's like self-sustaining. Or you can go really slow. That's another road to go as well. No shade to anyone that does that. You can do that as well. But my thing from the beginning has been, hey, I just have to be bigger than everybody and anybody else locally, and all the advertising dollars will come to me. And that's exactly the way it's playing out. Is I had the director of communications from the city of Winnipeg reach out recently. He put me on their media releases because he's like, hey, I read your thing often, and you're one of the best media sources. So it's like you just have to be bigger than everybody else. Um, and just on a quick little side note is like there's someone locally here who knows Alex Hormozi, right? He helped them launch the $100 million leads, um, and he said the same thing to me. He was doing like a local experience in Winnipeg, like a horror experience, and he came to Winnipeg after like a year and a half or something. So basically, around the time we had started Winnipeg Digest, and he was like, "Dude, I had never heard about you guys." And the second I asked around about where should I advertise, I had 7 people say go to Winnipeg Digest, right? Like that's how strong your brand has become in the last 18 months. He's like, where did you guys come out of, right? And so I think that's what it is. Like you have to be the default name everybody thinks of when they think of cool things happening in your city and how can people get in front of that audience. That's it,
Yeah.
right? And so we've become that default name at this point where if anyone is thinking about putting new dollars in, they're coming to us. They're not going anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think a lot of that is really good advice. Especially as I say, like with the money side of just knowing what you're getting into, right?
Yeah.
Where I feel like too many people think they can just put in 2 hours a week and throw $400 at this and somehow they're going to get rich or be super successful. And it's like, that's not likely how it's going to go. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think that's really good. I mean, it's, for me, especially, I talk about all the time, but there's a brand here called Community Impact that is by far the best kind of traditional plus modern, like what we're doing, I call the modern way, and then the traditional way.
Mhm.
They kind of do both, and they're extremely well known. They've been here 20 years, 25 years in the whole state of Texas. So, it can be difficult with a brand. You have that well known of a brand where it's just like sometimes these advertisers just put you up to them, right? It's like, oh well, we deal with community impact, But again, I haven't heard that a ton yet, only because I haven't actually talked to that many advertisers yet. But yeah, I think the
I
other problem, maybe just tell me about like advertiser size issue. So I would say the problem I've had a little bit of it is, and I think of what I hear from a lot of other people is they talk to advertisers who they're just too small, right? It's not that they don't want to advertise with you or they don't like you or want to go to a competitor. It's just like $300 is like my budget, So like avoiding those type of companies and getting in front of the companies that have the 1,500 a month and won't, bat an eye at that number.
I think understand what the person is trying to do, right? If the person is looking to convert, so like let's say, and this is not a common thing. Everyone has said high LTV this, high LTV that. People, that's who you should talk to, and I think that's great advice. And I think I was one of the first to give that advice. Um, and I think that's great advice in general when you're thinking about sales. But what you're trying to drive home is, and I had this conversation with my friend, and a lot of local business owners don't understand this, right? So local, a buddy of mine who runs an HVAC company, he does about $5 million a year. And I was like, hey, dude, what is a customer worth to you in, like, let's say a 5 year window, right? He's like, probably like $10,000, right? Like I make about $10,000 off that one person. I'm like, okay. And he was like going back and forth with me about doing these Christmas hampers and giving like $60 off their HVAC cleaning or something like that. I'm like, are you stupid? Like, you're offering $60 off for someone that's going to be worth $10,000 for you, you know? And you're debating whether you should give 60 or $90 off. I'm like, you should be giving away your services like the HVAC cleaning or whatever it might be. If for to you it might only cost $50. Outside it might be worth $200. You should be giving three of those away for every referral you get rather than giving $60 off of it, right?
I agree. Yeah.
And he couldn't wrap his mind around.
Mhm.
I'm like, dude, you have a machine where you put $600 and you get out $10,000. So why would you not utilize that machine? You know, and it's the same thing that you have to explain to an advertiser: is hey, we are that machine for you, right? If you're gonna pay us, and if you're starting out small, maybe you can't lock in an annual advertiser. Lock it in for 3 months. Prove that their money is actually worth, and it's actually gonna get an ROI, and then make the contract bigger. But at the start of the call, just be like, hey, this 3 months is just a trial period. If we hit this benchmark, then this is going to be a 1 year contract. Sounds like a deal? Sounds like a deal, right?
Mhm.
And you basically have to like dumb it down for them to the point where you're like, hey, if we close or if we get you 3 clients, let's say a realtor, which I think they're one of the cheapest people there are, but
Yeah.
let's say a realtor, you're like, dude, if I sell 3 homes for you, or if I get you 3 new clients, um, what is that worth to you? That's worth $25,000. Amazing. Then can you spend $2,000 with me? And if I can't get you that, I'll refund you the $2,000. You know, like you have to be confident enough then to be able to back that claim up, right? Um, and I say that to my advertisers all the time. I'm like, I hope you understand. I actually want to over deliver for you as much as I can in the first year, because then it makes it a no brainer deal moving forward,
Exactly.
right? And so once they understand that, it's a really easy sale to make.
I think you're spot on. Yeah. I think just quick advice. Any tips on getting in front of those types of businesses?
Yeah, I mean, one is I think you shouldn't, in the beginning, you should just be focusing on growth, at least to like 15-ish thousand subscribers. Until then, no one's even going to pay attention to you really, unless you're in like a very small county. Maybe then there's those exceptions, right? Like at least if your target audience is like 500,000 people plus, until 15,000 email subscribers, not many people are going to be even paying attention to you. Um, so that's kind of first thing first. Second is if you are trying to get in front of them, I haven't really had that much luck when it comes to like in-person events and all this stuff. For me, the two things that have worked is grow a large social audience, DM them there, and it's a great way to hop on a call. Second is if you can't do that, then the second way is yeah, just grow big and you'll get inbound. If none of those work, then the giveaway thing that I'm currently doing has been working very well for me, and I think I'm going to be relying on that moving forward. Where this giveaway is going to be a bonus for anyone that signs up between October and like end of November or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I think the obvious answer is just do everything you just said, right?
yeah,
Get big, follow and DM on Instagram, go to in person. You know, I had a little bit of success with that, although again, I've done it very little. And I know I've talked to some other people who've been having some good success with that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to do it. I think here bring it full circle here. Alex, what would Alex say? Do more, right? Just do more, and that's the answer.
basically,
Yeah.
I think that's the tagline that I'm living with for the next like year or so.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to get this to like 3 to 500K, and hopefully 500K by the next year. Um, and so if we can get there, then I'll be like, take my money, And I was saying this to my fiance. She's like, "You're stupid for spending 6 grand on this Alex offer, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, but by the time Alex releases his next book and I'm at 600K, and if he asks for a $30,000 thing, I'm buying it. Like it's a no
Okay.
brainer.
All right, if you say so. Um, yeah. No, that was just super cool that I saw everybody sharing the link of your thing, talking to him. It was great to you helped all of us, right? Get his take on our model. So thank you for doing that.
No, of
Um,
course, and hopefully I can keep doing that.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's you let me know sometime, maybe either before or after the holidays, whatever. I'm down either way to hear some updates. But if anybody wants to reach out to you, well, I can tell you the first way to easily get a hold of Jazz is to just, if you're in the newsletter club, he's in there all the time. So join that. That would be one. But what any other ways?
Yeah, Shadow Michael Kaufman. But yeah, Creating Jazz is my handle on X, so they can usually DM me and I'll reply.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay. Cool. Awesome. All right.
okay,
Well, thanks as always, Jazz. Appreciate it.
ciao.
See ya.